If you are brand new to vegetable gardening, there is a very good chance someone has already told you to just stick a tomato plant in the ground and see what happens. And honestly, that is not terrible advice, but it skips over something important. Not all vegetables are created equal when it comes to how forgiving they are for beginners. The science behind it matters. Some plants have deeper root systems that tolerate inconsistent watering. Others have natural pest resistance bred into them over generations. And a few are just plain fast, getting you from seed to harvest before most problems even have a chance to show up. In this video, I am going to walk you through 8 vegetables that are perfect for your first garden, and I will explain the science behind why each one gives new growers the best shot at success. Stick around for the bonus tip at the end because it is something I wish I had known when I started close to 15 years ago. Starting a garden can feel overwhelming. But here is the truth. Picking the right crops from the beginning changes everything. These 8 vegetables are the ones I recommend to every new gardener because they build confidence fast and teach you real skills along the way. Let us get into it. The first one I want to talk about is bush beans, and there is a fascinating reason why I always recommend these to beginners. Bush beans have a remarkable biological trick. Their roots form a symbiotic relationship with rhizobia bacteria that actually convert nitrogen from the air into fertilizer the plant can use. This means beans feed themselves, which is incredibly forgiving if your soil is not perfect yet. They grow in USDA zones 3 through 10 and mature in about 50 days, so you get results fast. Contender is my go-to variety for new gardeners. It handles cooler temperatures well and produces heavy yields of tender, flavorful pods. Provider is another solid choice, especially in shorter season areas. Plant seeds directly in the ground about 4 inches apart in rows about 18 inches wide after your last frost date. Do not bother with transplanting. Beans do not like having their roots disturbed. One mistake I made early on was adding nitrogen fertilizer to my bean bed. The plants grew enormous leaves but barely produced any pods. Let the bacteria do their job. When pods snap cleanly and the seeds inside are still small, they are ready to pick. And here's a bonus for your garden overall. When the season ends, cut the bean plants at ground level, but leave the roots in the soil. Those nitrogen-fixing nodules will continue feeding the next crop you plant in that spot. Next up is lettuce. And this one really surprised me with how easy it is once you understand a few basics. Loose leaf lettuce is one of the fastest crops you can grow, often ready to harvest in just 30 days. Its shallow but dense root system is remarkably efficient at pulling moisture from the top few inches of soil, which means you do not need deep beds or heavily amended soil. It thrives in USDA zones 2 through 11. I recommend salad bowl for a reliable green variety and red sails if you want some gorgeous burgundy colour on your plate. Scatter seeds about 6 inches apart in early spring or fall and give them afternoon shade if you are in a warmer climate. The beauty of loose leaf lettuce is that you harvest the outer leaves while the centre keeps producing. I grow it in shallow containers on my patio and it performs wonderfully even in less than ideal conditions. Number 3 on our list is zucchini. And here is why it deserves a spot on every beginner list. Zucchini is almost aggressively productive. Once a plant gets established, you will be harvesting every 2 to 3 days. And that kind of constant reward is exactly what new gardeners need to stay motivated. The plant channels enormous energy into fruit production, and its roots grow fast and deep to access water and nutrients that shallow-rooted crops cannot reach. It thrives in USDA zones 3 through 11. Black Beauty is the classic variety and nearly bulletproof. Give it full sun, space plants about 3 feet apart, and resist the urge to overwater. I drowned my first zucchini plant by watering daily. Once I backed off, production actually increased. Harvest when fruits are 6 to 8 inches long and the skin is still glossy. If you're finding this helpful, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button. I put out new videos every week breaking down the science behind growing better food at home. It is free, and it means you will not miss the next one. All right, let us keep going. The 4th pick is radishes, and let me tell you why I think these are the ultimate confidence builder for new gardeners. Radishes can go from seed to harvest in as little as 25 days. That speed is not just exciting, it is strategically valuable. They are in and out of the ground before pests and diseases have time to establish. Cherry bell is almost impossible to mess up, and French breakfast has a milder, slightly elongated shape that I personally prefer. They grow in USDA zones 2 through 10. Sow seeds half an inch deep and about 1 inch apart directly in the garden. No transplanting, no special soil, no fuss. Radishes actually prefer soil that has not been heavily fertilized because too much nitrogen sends all the energy into leafy tops instead of the root. I like to tuck radish seeds into gaps between slower growing crops. They fill the space, get harvested quickly, and the bed is open again before the neighboring plants need the room. When the root shoulders start pushing above the soil line, that is your signal to pull them. The fifth one I want to talk about is cherry tomatoes, and there is a fascinating reason why I recommend these over full-size tomatoes for beginners. Larger tomato varieties are prone to blossom end rot, cracking, and all kinds of issues tied to inconsistent watering. Cherry tomatoes avoid most of these problems because their smaller fruit size allows the plant to distribute water and calcium more evenly across each fruit. Sun Gold is my absolute favorite, with golden orange fruits that taste almost like candy. Sweet Million is another prolific producer that just keeps going. They thrive in USDA zones 3 through 11. Give them full sun, a sturdy cage, or trellis, and about 3 feet of space. My first year, I grew only beefsteak tomatoes and lost half my harvest to cracking after one heavy rain. Cherry tomatoes changed everything. Once they start producing, check your plants every day or two. You will know the fruit is perfectly ripe when it pulls away from the stem with almost no resistance and has that deep, saturated colour all the way through. Number 6 on our list is Swiss chard, and here is why it deserves a spot. Most leafy greens bolt the moment temperatures swing, but chard tolerates both heat and cold remarkably well. Its taproot reaches over 12 inches deep to find water during dry spells, making it very forgiving of inconsistent watering schedules. Bright Lights gives you stunning rainbow-coloured stems and grows in USDA zones 3 through 10. Space plants about 12 inches apart and harvest the outer leaves when they reach 8 to 10 inches tall. The plant keeps producing from the centre for months. I have had single plants go from May through the first hard frost without any special attention. The 7th pick is cucumbers, and let me tell you why I think these belong in a first garden. Cucumbers are vigorous and prolific once established, and their large leaf canopy shades the soil beneath the vine, naturally conserving moisture and suppressing weeds. That built-in ground cover means less work for you. Space Master is a compact bush variety, perfect for small spaces and containers, thriving in USDA zones 4 through 11. Marketmore 76 is a classic slicer with strong disease resistance if you can grow them on a simple trellis. Vertical growing improves air circulation, reduces fungal issues, and makes harvesting much easier on your back and knees. Space plants about 12 inches apart on a trellis or about 3 feet apart if letting them sprawl. I started trellising my cucumbers about 10 years ago, and the improvement in both yield and fruit quality was immediate. Pick them when firm, dark green, and 6 to 8 inches long for slicing varieties. Next up is herbs, specifically chives and basil. And this one really surprised me with how much value they add to a beginner garden. Chives are a perennial hardy in USDA zones 3 through 9, meaning you plant them once and they come back every year. Their dense root network outcompetes weeds, and they require almost no care. Basil is an annual but grows quickly in warm weather and teaches you about pinching and harvesting to encourage bushier growth. Genovese is the classic basil variety. Together, these two herbs give you year-round kitchen staples with minimal effort. I planted chives about 12 years ago, and they are still thriving with nothing more than an occasional trim. Now, this is something I stumbled onto a few years into my gardening journey, and it would have saved me a lot of frustration if I had known it from the start. The tip is to start with just one small raised bed or even a few large containers rather than building out a big garden all at once. The science supports this. A smaller growing area means you can focus your soil, preparation, watering, and attention where it matters most. You learn faster because you're observing fewer plants more closely. And most importantly, you avoid the burnout that comes from taking on too much in year one. A 4 by 8 foot raised bed can comfortably hold 4 or 5 of the vegetables on this list and produce more food than most beginners expect. Build your skills and your garden at the same time. That is everything I have for you today. Gardening is one of those things where the more you learn, the more you realize there is to discover. If you found this helpful, hit that subscribe button so you do not miss the next one. Happy gardening, and I will see you in the next video.